The queen had made it look like Prince Adamu was the only child born to the king and had sought her ways to eliminate Princess Fatima. But her nurse had saved her, but she didn't know who was behind the attempt. The king had issued a warning that the princess must not be harmed in any way, or the culprits would pay with their lives and that of their entire families. Once upon a time, in the heart of a hidden kingdom called Kalimba, there lived a beautiful kind princess named Fatima. But despite her beauty and kind heart, she was deeply unloved and maltreated by her stepmother, Queen Mara, and her stepbrother, Prince Adamu. They treated her with cruelty and disdain, making her life in the palace miserable. Her father, the revered king, died when she turned 10 years old from an unknown illness. Her mother had died giving birth to her, so her doting father had remarried to give her a mother, but it had turned against them in the long run. Despite the mistreatment and hatred from her stepmother and brother, Fatima remained a kind-hearted and cheerful person who the palace staffs and people of the kingdom loved. Her greatest desire has always been to protect the legacy of her father, which the queen and her son are doing their best to destroy. Once prosperous, Kalimba now suffered under the rule of Mara and Adamu. Crime and violence plagued the once safe streets. Kalimba is now a playground for marauders and thieves. The people no longer safe in their own houses. The honest and hardworking ethics that has been the pride of her fatherland for as long as the kingdom was standing is gradually disappearing with the rise of crime and violence amongst the people. Her stepmother is more concerned with the latest fashion and ornaments, while her greedy and lazy son never gets his fill of the palace delicacies, not minding that the kingdom is suffering the worst drought since the establishment of the kingdom. His precious delicacies must be prepared just the way he likes it, and this, according to the palace treasurer, is eating deep into the coffers of the royal treasury. The servants can no longer be paid their dues and the people were being taxed unduly, despite their loss in the harvest as a result of the drought. Princess Fatima could remember when she was a little girl. She sneaks out into the city, disguised as a farmer's daughter, to play with other children. The laughter at the marketplace, the music played by the kida, who uses the drum and traditional flute to make the sweetest melody. The voice of vendors haggling prices with their customers, the sound of the children playing, and the shouts of the adults shushing them out of the way. The laughter, the music all add together to make a beautiful symphony in her memories. She could sometimes stop and watch as beautiful maidens, dressed in colorful dresses, who get enchanted by the kida and forget the errands they have been sent by their mothers. Dances with beautiful foot and waist movement to the sound of the makidi, their traditional music. There were always onlookers who would drop money and produce for the beautiful dancers and drummers. Each major market day, Princess Fatima had always found means to escape her nanny and the guard so she could go to the market under her disguise. The dramas that play out is way better than anything the palace had to offer. Sometimes she's lucky and gets to stay till sunset before she's caught by the guards sent by her father. But at the other times, someone may recognize her or her nanny finds her too quickly. One of the dramas she remembers often was that of a beautiful maiden who had been sent to buy some fresh produce from the market for their evening meal, and she had been lured by the beautiful music playing. Fatima had remembered watching her dance with such joy and abandon, only for the music to be interrupted by a loud shout, and Fatima watched in utter amazement as the beautiful dancer gathered her basket and ran. The woman who shouted turned out to be her mother, who had waited and waited for her daughter to return from the market so she could start prepping the evening meal, only to come to the market worried and find her dancing like her life depended on it. The angry mother had chased her daughter around the market, keeping a face that promises to punish without mercy. The market people had joined the fun by helping the girl escape each time her mother gets closer to her, but eventually the maiden ran towards the direction of their home, ending the fun and making Fatima wish she was an ant in their wall so she could watch the full drama. She had quickly gone back to the palace to avoid creating her own drama too. All these memories she held inside, making her wish for the days which had gone by. After her father had gotten sick with the strange sickness no herbs or medicine could cure, the kingdom had gradually plunged into despair and anarchy under the merciless and greedy hands of Queen Mara and her lazy son Prince Adamu. Queen Mara had given birth to Prince Adamu a few months after her marriage to King Khalid, her father, and everything had changed for Fatima starting from there. The queen had made it look like Prince Adamu was the only child born to the king and had sought her ways to eliminate Princess Fatima. But her nurse had saved her, but she didn't know who was behind the attempt. The king had issued a warning that the princess must not be harmed in any way or the culprits would pay with their lives and that of their entire families. So the queen in fear had bided her time, mistreating the little princess when no one is around. Princess Fatima had grown up not understanding why her mother hated her but favors her brother, not until she found out her biological mother had died. Her father had doted on her and made sure she had everything she needed. He sometimes allows her to sit with him when he is having a council meeting with his officials if she promised to be quiet. She had learned without being aware the ways of politics and running a kingdom from the wisdom of her father and his elders wise men as she quietly listened to them debating on the best course of actions to solve each challenges to rises. She had been so quiet most times that they often forget that she was there. So each time she requested to join them, her father had always agreed. As she sat, thinking about the good old days, an idea began to form in her head. One day, Fatima decided to take matters into her own hands. She disguised herself as a common villager and snuck out of the palace. With determination in her heart, she sought out a wise old warrior named Nuru, who had served under her father but left the palace when her wicked stepmother took over the throne. He agreed to train her in the art of combat under the condition that no one finds out. Princess Fatima agreed immediately because it was exactly what she wanted. Under Nuru's guidance, Princess Fatima embarked on a journey of self-discovery and empowerment. The sun had just begun to rise over the kingdom as Fatima stepped into training grounds, her determination burning brightly in her eyes. She was ready to embrace the challenges that lay ahead and transform herself into a formidable warrior worthy of defending her kingdom. And so, the princess would secretly leave the palace to the training ground. She didn't tell anyone, not even her trusted maid. On the first day, she went with much enthusiasm. Nuru, the seasoned warrior, greeted her with a courteous smile. He had seen countless warriors in training pass through his hands, but there was something different about Fatima. A fire burned within her, a fierce determination that promised to propel her to greatness. Are you ready, princess? Nuru's voice cut through the crisp morning air, pulling Fatima from her thoughts. I am, she replied, her voice steady and resolute. Without further ado, Nuru began Fatima's training in earnest. They started with the basics, the foundation upon which all great warriors are built. Nuru taught her the proper stance, how to hold a sword with strength and precision, and the importance of footwork in battle. Fatima absorbed every lesson with keen focus, her movements growing more fluid and confident with each passing day. As the weeks turned into months, Fatima's skills flourished under Nuru's tutelage. She sparred with seasoned warriors, tested her limits, and pushed herself beyond what she thought possible. Despite the physical and mental challenges she faced, Fatima never once wavered in her resolve. She knew that the fate of her kingdom depended on her ability to become a skilled and fearless warrior. But training was not without its setbacks. Fatima encountered moments of doubt and frustrations, times when she questioned whether she was truly capable of fulfilling her destiny. It was during this moment that Nuru's wisdom and encouragement proved invaluable, guiding her back on the path to greatness. One particular challenging day, as Fatima struggled to master a complex sword technique, Nuru offered her a piece of advice that would stay with her forever. Do not be discouraged by failure, princess, he said, his voice gentle but firm. For it is through our failures that we learn and grow stronger. Embrace the struggle, and you will emerge victorious in the end. With renewed determination, Fatima redoubled her efforts, channeling her frustration into fuel for her training. And slowly but surely, she began to see the fruits of her labor. Her strikes grew swifter, her defenses more impenetrable, until she moved across the training grounds like a force of nature, unstoppable and fierce. But as Fatima honed her physical skills, she also delved into the deeper aspects of warriorhood. Nuru taught her the importance of discipline, humility, and compassion, instilling in her the values that would guide her in her journey. And so, as the days stretched into weeks and the weeks into months, Princess Fatima transformed from a naive young girl into a warrior of unparalleled strength and courage. She stood tall and proud, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead and defend her kingdom with all her heart. But little did she know that her greatest test was yet to come, lurking on the horizon like a shadow waiting to engulf the land in darkness. As the sun set on another day of training, Fatima steeled herself for the battles that lay ahead, knowing that her journey was only just beginning. After months of relentless drilling and training, Princess Fatima emerged from her growing regimen as a transformed figure, her identity shrouded behind a mask filled with determination and purpose. The once demure and soft spoken princess now moved with the grace and confidence of a seasoned warrior, her every step a testament to her newfound strength and skill. Donning a mask crafted from the finest steel, made as soft as a cloth, adorned with intricate designs that spoke of her noble lineage, Fatima embraced her new person with a sense of solemnity and reverence. No longer would she be confined by the expectations of her station or the limitations placed upon her by society. She was no longer simply Princess Fatima. She was a symbol of hope and resilience, a silent guardian watching over her kingdom from the shadows. Under the cover of darkness, Fatima ventured beyond the palace walls, her swords strapped to her side and her heart filled with a sense of purpose. She moved with the fluidity of a shadow, her movements swift and silent as she navigated the bustling streets of the kingdom. Though her true identity remained hidden from all but a select few, her presence was felt by all who crossed her path. In the depths of the night, Fatima sought out those in need, offering protection to the vulnerable and justice to the oppressors. She became a legend, whispered in hushed tones, a figure of myth and mystery who struck fear into the hearts of those who dared to threaten the peace and prosperity of our people. But even as Fatima embraced her role as a silent protector, she wrestled with the weight of her newfound responsibilities. The mask that shielded her true identity also served as a reminder of the sacrifices she had made and the dangers that lurked in the shadows. Yet, she knew that she could not turn back, for the fate of her kingdom rested squarely on her shoulders. As a practice to test her new skills, Nuru would ride out with Princess Fatima to the kingdom's borders, defending it from bandits and would-be invaders. These expeditions served as both a training ground for Fatima and a harsh reality check for the kingdom's dire situation. As they patrolled the borders, Fatima witnessed first-hand crumbling state of the kingdom's defenses. The soldiers stationed at the border outposts were few in number, their ranks depleted by desertion and neglect. What was once a proud and formidable line of defense had now become a mere shadow of its former self. She observed with growing concern that this is as of the plight of the soldiers and their families. It became painfully clear that the kingdom was in far greater peril than she had realized. The soldiers, once the guardians of the realm, now found themselves abandoned and forgotten by those in power. The lack of payment from the capital had left the soldiers and their families destitute, struggling to survive in the face of hunger and illness. With no food or medicine forthcoming, many had been forced to desert their posts in search of a means to provide for themselves and their loved ones. It was a desperate act born out of sheer necessity, as they had been left with no other choice. As Fatima rode alongside Nuru and his companions, her heart weighed heavily with sorrow and determination. She knew that she could not turn a blind eye to the suffering of her people, nor could she stand idly by while her kingdom fell into ruin. The time for action was now, and she vowed to do whatever it took to restore hope and prosperity to her people. With each passing mile, Fatima's resolve grew stronger, fueled by the injustice she witnessed and the unwavering support of her companions. Together, they rode forth into the unknown, ready to confront whatever challenges lay ahead and forge a brighter future for their kingdom. But little did they know that their journey would lead them down a path fraught with danger and betrayal, where the true extent of the kingdom's peril would be laid bare for all to see. As they rode onward, Fatima knew that the road ahead would not be easy, but she was prepared to face whatever trials awaited her with courage and determination. For she was not just a princess, but a warrior destined to defend her people and her kingdom until her last breath. As Princess Fatima and her companions continued their patrols along the kingdom's borders, they uncovered a dark truth that lay hidden beneath the surface of their once prosperous land. Not only were the soldiers and their families suffering from neglect and abandonment, but the very people they were sworn to protect were being oppressed and exploited by corrupt officials sent from the capital. Fatima's keen eye and compassionate heart could not ignore the suffering of her people, and she was appalled by the injustice that had been perpetrated in the name of greed and power. The officials sent to the towns and villages surrounding the borders had abused their authority, imposing exorbitant taxes on the already impoverished populace and pocketing the proceeds for themselves. The people who relied heavily on their farmlands for sustenance and livelihood found themselves trapped in a vicious circle of poverty and despair. Whatever little they were able to harvest from their meager plots of land was swiftly taken from them in the form of unjust taxes, leaving them with barely enough to survive. Starvation and diseases ravaged the once thriving communities as families struggled to feed themselves and their children. Fatima witnessed the anguish and desperation etched upon the faces of the people, their spirits broken by years of oppression and neglect. But Fatima refused to stand idly by while her people suffered. With a fire burning in her heart and a fierce determination driving her forward, she vowed to put an end to the tyranny and corruption that had taken root within her kingdom. Gathering her courage and resolve, Fatima confronted the corrupt officials, demanding accountability and justice for their crimes against the people. She spoke out against the injustice and exploitation, rallying the oppressed masses to rise up and reclaim their dignity and freedom. Together with Nuru, Zara, and a growing band of loyal supporters, Fatima led a grassroots movement to overthrow the corrupt regime and restore power to the rightful rulers of the land, the people themselves. But their journey would not be easy as they faced formidable adversaries determined to maintain their strange hold on power. As they prepared to confront the forces of oppression and tyranny, Fatima knew that the battles ahead would test not only their strength and skill, but also their unwavering commitment to justice and righteousness. For the fate of their kingdom hung in the balance, and only through courage, unity, and determination could they hope to emerge victorious against the forces of darkness that threatened to consume them all. As news of the mysterious warrior who single-handedly repelled the kingdom's enemies reached the palace, it stirred a sense of curiosity and intrigue among its inhabitants. Queen Mara, ever eager to assert her authority and maintain control over her domain, saw an opportunity to showcase the might and prowess of her kingdom's defenders. Alongside her son, Prince Adamu, she ventured out to witness this enigmatic figure in action, unaware of the secret that Princess Fatima held. Upon arriving at the place of the clash, Queen Mara and Prince Adamu were greeted by a scene of chaos and turmoil. The kingdom's enemies, emboldened by the weakness and disarray that had plagued the land in recent months, had launched a brazen attack on its borders. But standing tall amidst the fray was mysterious warrior, a figure of strength and determination, clad in armor adorned with symbols of valor and courage. As Queen Mara and Prince Adamu watched, the warrior unleashed a barrage of devastating blows upon their foes. His sword flashing in the sunlight as he fought with a skill and ferocity that left no doubt as to his abilities. With each swing of his blade, he struck fear into the hearts of his enemies, driving them back with relentless force. But amidst the chaos of battle, Princess Fatima, the center figure who was mistaken for a man, fought with growing unease in her heart. She knew that her true identity must remain hidden at all costs, lest she jeopardize her mission to bring justice and freedom to her kingdom. As the skirmish raged on, Queen Mara and Prince Adamu marveled at the prowess of the warrior before them, unaware of the true significance of his actions. To them, he was simply a symbol of the kingdom's strength and resilience, a hero to be celebrated and revered. But little did they know that the true hero of the kingdom stood among them, her identity hidden behind a mask. As the battle raged on, the chaos and intensity of the skirmish caused Princess Fatima's mask to be knocked off, revealing her true identity to her astonished stepmother, Queen Mara, and her stepbrother, Prince Adamu. In that moment, the realization of their cruelty and oppression dawned upon them, filling their hearts with fear and shame. Queen Mara and Prince Adamu stood frozen in disbelief as they gazed upon the face of the warrior who had single-handedly defended their kingdom. The mask of secrecy that had shrouded Fatima's true identity was now stripped away, laying bare the truth for all to see. In a panic, Queen Mara and Prince Adamu turned and fled from the scene, their minds reeling with the implications of what they had witnessed. They knew that they could no longer maintain their grip on power in the face of Fatima's bravery and selflessness. And so, with fear driving their every step, they disappeared into the shadows, leaving behind a kingdom forever changed by the revelation of their treachery. But amidst the confusion and turmoil, the people of the kingdom hailed Princess Fatima as a hero, their voices ringing out in jubilant celebration. They recognized her bravery and sacrifice, and in their eyes, she was no longer just a princess, but a true leader, a beacon of hope and inspiration for all who dared to dream of a better future. As cheers of triumph echoed through the streets, Fatima stood tall and proud, her heart filled with gratitude and humility. She knew that the road ahead would be long and fraught with challenges, but with the support of her people and the strength of her convictions, she was ready to face whatever obstacles came her way. For Princess Fatima had not only reclaimed her rightful place as the guardian of her kingdom, but she had also ignited a spark of hope and resilience in the heart of her people. And as she looked out upon the faces of those who had once suffered under the tyranny of her stepmother's rule, she knew that together they would forge a new destiny, one built with the principles of justice, compassion, and unity. In a grand ceremony filled with pomp and splendor, Fatima was crowned the queen of the kingdom. Her ascent to the throne symbolizing a new era of hope and renewal for her people. The once unloved princess had now become a beacon of light and inspiration, her kindness and courage inspiring all who witnessed her coronation. As Queen Fatima took her rightful place upon the throne, she vowed to rule with compassion and justice, determined to ensure that no one would ever suffer as she once did. With the support of her loyal subjects and the wisdom imparted to her by her experiences, she set out, implementing reforms and initiatives aimed at uplifting the kingdom and its people. Under Queen Fatima's leadership, the kingdom flourished, its borders secure, and its people prosperous. She worked tirelessly to address the injustice and inequalities that had plagued her kingdom for so long, striving to create a society where all were treated with dignity and respect. But perhaps Queen Fatima's greatest legacy lay not in the policies she enacted or the battles she won, but in the heart and mind of her people. She became known as the Queen of Compassion, a ruler who led with empathy and understanding, always putting the needs of her subjects above her own. As the years passed, Queen Fatima's story became legend, passed down through generations as a reminder of the power of perseverance and the triumph of the human spirit. Her legacy endured long as she had passed from this world, her name forever etched in the annals of history as a symbol of hope and resilience. And though her journey had been fraught with challenges and obstacles, Queen Fatima's transformation from an unloved princess to a beloved queen served as a testament to the indomitable strength of the human spirit. For in the end, it was not the circumstances of her birth that defined her, but the courage and determination with which she faced them. And so, as the kingdom basked in the golden glow of Queen Fatima's reign, they knew that her legacy would live on for generations to come, a shining example of what could be achieved when one dared to dream and never lost sight of the power of love and compassion. The moral lesson from this story is number one, kindness and compassion. Despite being mistreated, Fatima remained kind and compassionate. This won her the love and respect of her people and ultimately helped her to become a great leader. Number two, perseverance and determination. Fatima's determination to protect her father's legacy and improve the lives of her people drove her to train and fight for her kingdom, showing that perseverance can lead to great achievement. Number three, courage to fight injustice. Fatima's courage to stand up against her cruel stepmother and brother and to fight the corruption in her kingdom highlights the importance of confronting and challenging injustice. Number four, leadership and responsibility. Fatima's journey from a mistreated princess to a beloved queen shows that true leadership involves caring for others and taking responsibility for the welfare of the community. Number five, the power of hope and unity. By uniting her people and inspiring them with hope, Fatima was able to transform her kingdom and create a better future, demonstrating the strength found in hope and collective action. Thank you for watching this amazing story about Fatima on African Stories. If you liked it and felt inspired with her journey, please show your support by clicking the like button, sharing with your friends, and leaving a comment below. To see more interesting stories and learn about different cultures, subscribe to African Stories. And don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Your support means a lot and helps us bring more stories to you. Until we meet again, stay connected, stay inspired, and keep smiling.